Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Alberto. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I would like to apologize because my English is not that good, so I hope that I can communicate today what I want to communicate. So the pictures that I will show in this presentation are from a photojournalist, Kadir van Lohuisen, from the Netherlands, who accompanied me in our first trip to Gunayala last March. So this is the first documented case of an indigenous community in Latin America that has been forced to relocate as a result of the rise in sea level. And at the same time, it's one of the first one that our organization, Displacement Solutions, is aware of on climate displacement in Latin America at this scale. Let me introduce Displacement Solutions a little bit. As Alberto mentioned, Displacement Solutions is an international human rights organization based in the Netherlands, in Geneva, that is specialized in climate displacement. And the organization has been documenting during the last 5 years the situation of the climate displaced population worldwide in places like Bangladesh, Tuvalu, Kiribati, Fiji, Vietnam, etc. The organization also led the process of drafting what is known now as the Peninsula Principles on climate displacement within the States in August 2013. And the Peninsula Principles are the first international legal instrument regarding the rights of climate displaced people and the responsibilities of states and the international community toward them. This is one of the pictures that we found in our visit to Gunayala. I would like to mention a little bit about the Guna people, the people that live in Gunayala. The Guna people are originally from the northwestern part of Colombia, and in the 16th century, they started moving to what is currently Panama. So they live in the area that is in red, the Gunayala region. And in a process that took a few centuries, they settled on that long strip of land between the mountains of San Blas and the Caribbean Sea. Around the middle of the 19th century, the Gunas started moving to some of the 371 small and beautiful coral islands that border the Caribbean coast. Perhaps in this map, you can see a little better the small islands, especially in the west part of the coast. So it is believed that shortly after that, most of the Gunas finally decided to settle on the islands, mainly to escape from mosquitoes and snakes. So in this other picture, I have some of the indigenous areas, territories that have been legally recognized in Panama as indigenous territories. So we have, besides Gunayala, there are other two Guna communities that have their own territory, the Madugandi and Wargandi. Those are Gunas, but and even that they share a lot of the same culture, they are, because of their geographical separation, they have a kind of different history. So, and the Emberas, they have two different comarcas, as they call it, and the Nove Bugle, that is the biggest indigenous group in Panama. Each community in Gunayala is led by a group of local chiefs that are called silas. Typically, a community has 4 silas, and they have a hierarchical order. And each community also has another very important person that is called the argar, that is a type of interpreter of what the silas say. So most of the culture, the Gunas transmit the culture to their kids and to the community by singing traditional songs, where they narrate all their history. So the Gunas said that in their songs, they don't mention the islands. Those are very old songs from a time where they were still living in the mainland. So another important thing to keep in mind is, as you can see here, the Gunayala region is located in 3 different municipalities: Narganá, Aligandí, Tubuala, and Puerto Ovaldía, and in the border with Colombia. There are not Kuna communities here, but in the other ones. And each municipality, the Kuna communities that live there, they select a regional chief that is called the cacique, and the 3 caciques are part of the what is called the Guna General Congress. This kind of the administrative institution that govern the Gunayala region. They also have elect members of what is called the Guna Cultural Congress. So they have this combination of the an structure that is in charge of keeping the culture of the organization, and other of running the comarca of Gunayala. So some of the patterns of settlement in that area are the following. Because almost all of the islands lack fresh water, the Gunas settled on those islands that were closest to the mainland and near to mouths of rivers. To this day, they farm, hunt, and access water from the rivers on the mainland while living on the islands and fishing in the ocean. Of the 40 Kuna communities, only around eight communities are still, they never moved to islands, they still live in the mainland. So as of today, some of those islands have running water. The government built a very, I would call provisional aqueduct that connect the water from the rivers in the mainland to some of the islands. So you can see that there is a little bit of running water that works sometimes, but most of the water is still, they need to go to the mainland, to the rivers to get that water. Historically, the Gunas have resisted all efforts of colonization for more than 4 or 5 centuries. And additionally, they have been very successful in protecting their territory from all types of outsiders, including small settlers, large entrepreneurs, and even state officials. The most dramatic fight to control their territory took place in 1925 during what is called the Thule Revolution, when the Gunas expelled all state institutions from the region. They were granted autonomous status in 1938, and this has been protected and even expanded since then. So next year they are commemorating like 90 years of being an autonomous region. And it's, I will say, and in our report, if people are interested, you can read a little more about that, but it's important to keep in mind that there is the autonomy, what is in the laws, and what I will call the autonomy in the practice, and definitely what they exercise their autonomy beyond what is said at the law. And the Panamanian government in general has accepted this type of arrangement. The population in the Gunayala region has grown from around 15,000 people in the 1920s to a peak of 34,000 in the 1990s. The last 2 censuses have shown a small decrease in population, around 32,000 in the year 2000 and 33,000 in 2010. According to the 2010 census, that is the last one in Panama, most of the Gunas are, and here we count all the Gunas, not only from Gunayala, but from the other two Guna comarcas. Most of the Gunas live in the province of Panama, around 50.4%. This is the province where the capital of Panama, Panama City, is located, followed by Gunayala, where 37.6% of the Gunas live. This indicates a migratory pattern from Gunayala to the capital city that started with the construction of the Panama Canal at the beginning of the 20th century and have become a permanent flow since the 1970s. Let me mention a little bit about our approach to climate displacement in Gunayala. At the end of March 2014, Displacement Solutions visited Panama to investigate the impact of rising sea levels on the displaced communities in Gunayala and the planned relocation of those communities from affected islands to the mainland. We used the Peninsula Principles as a guiding framework for assessing the situation and making recommendations. And we also conducted some trainings with local communities and their leaders on the Peninsula Principles to empower them and so help them so that they use those principles as a tool in their fight for their rights. This is one of the communal meetings that we have in one of the islands in the, that was in the island of Soledad Mandinga. Our visit focused mainly in the island of Gardi Sugdub. That is the community that is leading the process of relocation in Gunayala. We met with a couple local Guna congresses in Gardi Sugdub, on the island of Gardi Sugdub, and in another one, this one like Soledad Mandinga. So that is the Gunas have nightly meetings. This is the what is called Casa de Congreso, or the Congreso, Congress House, so we were able to talk to them about what we were doing there and about the Peninsula Principles. This was a very special moment for us in our visit. Not everyone is allowed to do this, to participate in their meetings, and we were very lucky and thankful for that opportunity. The relocation of the Gunas communities. So let's talk now about the relocation. So the idea of moving some of the Guna population from the islands to the mainland is not new. Over the years, some community leaders have promoted the idea of relocating the population as a result of population growth and lack of space. Over the last 10 years, the idea of relocation to the mainland has got more attention due to a series of natural disasters and weather-related events that have affected the islands of Gunayala. Additionally, a scientific publication in 2003 also contributed to creating a sense of urgency about the relocation process and connecting it to the broader issue of climate change and rising sea levels. This is an aerial picture of the community of Gardi Sugdub, where my talk will be focused. So again, for people to have a better picture of where this is located, there is a road now. Gunayala for many years was a very isolated place. You have to take a small plane to some of the communities, and it was a unpaved road that was built many years ago that tried to connect Panama City with the port of Carti, but because of the lack of bridges and because it's a region where it rains almost every day, for many years the road was useless until around 4 years ago that the government finally built all the bridges that were needed, and the road was paved. So now it take only 2.5 hours from Panama City to the port of Gardi. So this island is located just in front of the Gardi port. It's like 1.5 kilometers from the mainland. And as I will mention later, it's one of the main entry points to Gunayala. So the scientific data about the rise of sea levels. This is in 2003, marine biologist Hector Guevara and his team from the Smithsonian, they published an article in the journal Conservation Biology that has become the most authoritative and influential study so far on the effects of climate change in Gunayala. Guzman and his team findings were mainly the following. He was able to measure that the level of the ocean has rise in the region. The Smithsonian has been monitoring this situation for almost 100 years in that area. But he also found through different pictures that were taken, aerial pictures of the region, and compared with pictures that they have in files from previous decades, he found that the inhabited islands, the surface of those islands has been decreasing, and he found evidence that on average the sea level rise 2.2 millimeters from 2007 to around 2000, with the evidence that it has accelerated to 3 millimeters since the 1970s. Something important to point out, if someone checked that report, there is a big typo there, and instead of mentioning millimeters, it says centimeters in the whole report. So obviously, when I met with Guzman, the first thing that he clarified was that. So over a 30-year period, the authors found a decrease in the surface areas of the uninhabited islands of around 50,000 square meters. The other major finding was that a surface growth of inhabited islands and the dramatic decrease of the live hard coral. That was the main focus of the study. As marine biologist, Guzman is an expert on coral, and he found that the Gunas, they have been expanded the islands, the surface of the islands with this practice of infilling using coral. And they estimated that they increased the size of the islands, the islands by around 62,000 square meters. And they found a dramatic decrease in live coral. They also found that they measured the seawalls that were built around the islands, and they mentioned that at around 16 kilometers. So since the publication of this study, Guzman has organized and the Smithsonian several workshops to publicize their findings and to bring the problem to the attention of the general public, the Guna people, and the Panamanian government about the rising sea levels and the need to relocate the Gunas communities as a way to save and restore the coral of Gunayala. The study, however, created also a lot of resistance among the same Gunas. And in our report, we have criticized a little bit this type of approach of not taking into consideration the Guna people and the habitat of Gunayala as a whole, instead of focusing only on the coral. So also, the region has suffered natural disasters and weather-related events. The worst natural disasters ever recorded in Gunayala was a tsunami that affected the San Blas Islands on September 7, 1882. It was a result of a 7.9 earthquake, and produce waves 3 meters height and kill at least 100 Gunas. But at the same time, the Guna people typically refer the months of November and December as those where they experience the most extreme weather-related events, mostly because of the rain and very strong winds coming from the north. One of the worst storms and flood events in recent memory took place at the end of November 2008. In Gardi Sugdub, the community where we focus our attention, they vividly remember that storm as one of the worst and scariest events ever. So let me move now to talk a little bit about the role of the community in relocation from Gardi Sugdub Island. So after decided to relocate to the mainland and getting the necessary land to do so, on April 17, 2010, the Gardi Sugdub community started working on the relocation site. They started cleaning the site. As of March 2013, when we visited, a total of 300 families from Gardi Sugdub have signed up to be relocated to the mainland. Approximately 200 of those families are currently living in Gardi Sugdub, and 100 additional families are currently living in Panama City, but are originally from that community. So here in one of the meetings that we have with the neighborhood committee, they call it, to talk about this. So we also found that there are several factors that facilitated the decision of this specific community to relocate, and we think that location is a very important one. As I mentioned before, Gardi Sugdub is located in one of the main entry doors of Gunayala, and also because of the level of organization and leadership, the Guna people are very organized, but like the people in Gardi Sugdub are especially well organized. Land is another reason that facilitated the decision. The community has made the necessary arrangement to have land available for the relocation. It's important to remember that Gunayala, the land is a communal land, or Gunayala land is owned by the Gunas, but they have different type of property. So, like individual families could have property that cannot be transferred to a no-Guna, but only be transferred to a Guna. And resources, Gardi Sugdub economy is booming as a result of all the traffic and tourism generated by the paved road. However, also the relocation process in Gardi Sugdub has proved to be a very complicated enterprise. After been working for this, they are still living in the island. They have not been able to move. So we